Hi there. Bitcoin has hit $50,000 again after slumping for the last few months. It had been as high as $63,000 in April, and everyone was predicting it's going to go to $100,000, it's going to go to a million, and then it slumped following a couple of incidents. One was China cracking down on it, the other was Tesla. After being so enthusiastic about Bitcoin, suddenly Elon Musk pulls back on it and says, no, we're not going to accept it. And then it fell down. It's been in a slump at around the $35,000 mark for the last few months. So what is happening? Well, I think investor confidence is coming back slightly as companies, you hear about more companies starting to, well, we'll accept Bitcoin as payment for this or payment for that. We also see that PayPal has now extended its service to trade in Bitcoin effectively to the UK, not only Bitcoin but other coins as well, other cryptocurrencies. Also on Monday, Ether climbed 3% to $50,000, and so it's perhaps looking good for these digital currencies as they call them. But I don't know. I mean, the federal continued support for the economy by the Federal Reserve has also meant that Bitcoin has recovered as the economy recovered. And some commentators like Neil Wilson of markets.com said Bitcoin's rebound shows no sign of cooling, although he said he expected some pullback in the short term. But most of these commentators are in the market of selling stuff, selling Bitcoin. So I'm not sure that their commentary is really unbiased, as it were. It's certainly not. Most of these commentators, like if you have an estate agent commenting on the property market, we expect the property market to go up. That's not really independent, is it? But another commentator, Dan Ives from Wedbush Securities, said Bitcoin remains highly volatile, or a highly volatile digital currency, despite growing investor optimism. The Bank of England also expressed concerns about it, said that you shouldn't invest more than you could afford to lose. So is Bitcoin the new gold? That's what a lot of people have been asking, because traditionally in markets, when markets are volatile, people put their money into gold, but that hasn't really happened. Gold has done okay, but it hasn't really happened this year as expected. It didn't really fully happen during the time when the stock market crashed. So people are asking, is Bitcoin the new gold? I don't personally think so. Gold is always something tangible that you can hold in your hand, and you could, in theory, use. A lot of preppers like to have gold and silver coins in case the world collapses. There's no electricity, there's no banking system. They're in like that. Deep preppers would hold gold and hold something that they could exchange as money, as they did hundreds of years ago. Well, not that long ago actually. And a gold coin, a Britannia coin, I believe is still legal tender in the UK. But we don't go around to the supermarket and hand over a gold coin or a silver coin for our shopping. But preppers will get into this mindset that if it all goes wrong, they've got a farm, they've got a bit of land, they've got a water supply, they've got a generator, they've got wind power, they've got solar power. So they are looking for that doomsday scenario, as it were. So we can't all base our lives around the doomsday scenario of a prepper, right? Because otherwise, you're thinking, well, I'm living in a flat in London. How can I be a prepper? You can't, unless you want to move to some remote area and start a small holding farm or something. Start keeping pigs and goats and sheep and chickens and that sort of thing. So, and your own cow to milk. I'll tell you, I know farming because my relatives in Ireland were all farmers, and it's hard work. It's 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Most of my uncles in farming, they never went on holiday. They didn't have a holiday. They didn't go off to Spain for 2 weeks. Summer was the busy time. Winter, there was other things going on. There was always fences to repair, something to do. And they were up at 6 a.m. and not back till evening. And it's not easy work, farming. In fact, I've been watching a series on Netflix, Jeremy Clarkson talking about his farm, He's got, I mean, he's not really a farmer, but he's got this big farm in the Cotswolds, 1,000 acres or something, and it's funny watching. It's quite a funny show how he deals with all the rules and regulations, and it's a bit of a comedy kind of thing, but it's interesting to see whether or not he can make it as a farmer. But he owns this farm, and he had a farm manager. The farm manager left, so now Jeremy Clarkson's kind of taken over. So personally, I don't think Bitcoin is the new gold. There's obviously a place for cryptocurrencies. I don't fully understand it. I don't understand why, it's priced in dollars. If you buy a Bitcoin, they want your dollars. Well, what do they do with the dollars? If dollars were so bad, why do they want dollars for your Bitcoin? And then I still don't see it as a viable currency at the moment until governments really accept the cryptocurrencies as proper currencies backed by a government. Now, a lot of people like the idea of that. They like the fact that Bitcoin is independent from governments and cannot be manipulated by governments. But in a way, it's not really that independent. The governments are just allowing it to go on at the moment. But if all of the governments take China's view on cryptocurrencies, then what? What is it? It's just another place to keep money that you think, well, I'll move my money from this pot over to that pot into crypto, and it's supposed to be safe. But last week, $100 million of Bitcoin was stolen from wallets by a holding company in Japan. Well, this exchange that held the Bitcoin wallets was hacked into, and $100 million was stolen. So is it really that secure? Well, we don't know. I guess with any asset like gold and silver, you've got to then deal with it. Do you keep it under your floorboards? Do you put it in a bank vault? But that all adds cost to it, right? So is it a real currency? Personally, I don't think it is at the moment, although other people swear by it. They are crypto fanatics, and people are putting a lot of their own savings into crypto. So should you invest in crypto? Well, I don't. I would be happy to wager a bet with a small amount of money on crypto. I was in an ETF fund on crypto when it was very low, and I had that fund kept going. The fund closed down for some reason, and they just gave me my money back. But it was actually doing quite well, and it would have been very high at the moment. But there you go. But personally, I wouldn't sort of bet my life savings on it. No way. It's worth a gamble, but that's about it for me. I don't see it as a real currency. I don't really see it as a real asset. I just see it as a speculative investment. And most speculative investments in the past have come to grief, and people have back to the tulip bulb tulip bulb rush and previous rushes to buy the South Sea bubble, and that's, if you look those up, the Dutch tulip craze and the South Sea bubble craze, when people just, for fear of missing out, that FOMO, they just all piled into this thing because they felt that they're going to miss out on this growth. But when you're buying something like that, when you're in that FOMO mood and you're saying, well, I've got to buy this to buy, but then you're relying on it going up in price, and then you're selling it on to somebody else at a profit who is also in that same state. So you've got to then think, well, if I buy this at this price, it's going up from $50,000, and I'm hoping it's going to go up to $100,000, then sell it. You're relying on somebody else to be the next sucker, if you like, to buy it at $100,000 because you think it's going down. I mean, is that? I don't see that as a proper investment, really. And certainly, old-time wise investors like Warren Buffett seem to steer away from these crazes. But is it a craze? It's been around for a while now, or is it the new currency? Well, China is launching its own digital currency, and I think all the governments will eventually issue some form of digital currency. In Sweden, they are virtually doing away with ordinary money, and everywhere you go now, it's electronic transactions. And certainly the events of the last couple of years have persuaded most retailers not to take cash or to accept cards. I mean, there were certain takeaway restaurants in my area that would never accept cards. I thought it was crazy. They're losing business because people think, well, I can't use a card there. I'm not going to go there. And these were in the Chinese community mainly. They wouldn't take cards. Now they have to take cards. Well, they've been forced into it. And in a way, it's not a bad way of doing business. There is a cost to taking a card, but there's a cost to dealing with cash as well, and a risk of dealing with cash. So I don't know. We'll have to see whether crypto will take over. We'll have to see. Maybe I'm just one of these people, old-fashioned investors, that may have missed out on this, but who knows? So the other thing I would say is check out my article on the hackers. It's on YouTube. I'll put a link up to this. Also, check out the article on house prices falling in the UK. I put a few articles up there about house prices. They've been falling back. I've said that you can find a place, the cheapest place to buy a house in the UK. You can find a studio flat for £5,000 in the UK, where the highest price listed on Zoopla, highest price house listed on Zoopla was 77 million, and yet you can still buy a flat for £5,000. Have a look at that on my YouTube channel, and please like and share this if you feel this is the right thing for you. Now, if you want to build wealth, then there's a way of doing that perhaps doesn't involve gambling on something like Bitcoin going up. But millionaires and millionaire habits have been studied. That they do have certain traits and certain habits and certain tracks that you can follow. And this has been studied at academic level in universities like Harvard. And we know exactly what these habits of millionaires, decamillionaires and billionaires, we know exactly what they are. Success leaves traits. And if you just have to follow those traits if you want to be financially free. But it's not something that you can usually do overnight. Unless you're extremely lucky, you win the lottery, or you just invest in something that just goes up. But generally, it takes time. And if you want to learn how to invest and manage your money, or get into investments, tangible investments like property, and learn how to do this properly, or you just like to be financially free over time without working any harder than you are, then check out my video on the link below, and I'll give you a special free gift if you follow that through and watch the video at the end, which can totally transform your financial situation right now. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.